Don't just live for tomorrow, or just live in yesterday. Just be glad for all you have that's in today.
Hey everyone, Connie here, and welcome to my blind reaction to Love, Death, and Robots Season 2. Yeah, all of Season 2. If you don't remember, when Love, Death, and Robots, or if you weren't even watching the channel at the time or whatever, when Love, Death, and Robots Season 1 came out, I reacted to the entire thing in one video. Sort of. I believe I had to cut it up into multiple parts just to post it, just to upload it to the other sites that I redirected it to, because it wouldn't let me for some reason upload it all as one part, probably because of the length. um, but I did the entire thing in one go, and it was kind of a interesting scenario too, because I wasn't originally planning on reacting to it, but I saw the first episode and it's like, okay, I want to react to this series. But I also didn't want to wait. So I just decided to do it all in one go as kind of like this special. So we're doing the same thing with Season 2, and we will do the same with Season 3. So for those who don't know, Love, Death, and Robots is a series of animation projects worked on by various animators from various styles. They create these self-contained short stories, all centered around different things, usually focused around sci-fi, and usually focused around one or more of the three things in the title: love, death, robots. Um, so season 1 was really good. Had a lot of really good episodes within its 18 episode batch, and really impressed me. Getting to see some animators really flex their stuff and get to show these awesome little short stories really just was impressive as hell. And unfortunately, season 2 is only 8 episodes, 10 episodes less than season 1. But this is probably because of COVID happening and everything. Season 3 is going to be 8 episodes as well. So what I'm thinking and what others have been thinking is that they've taken an entire season, and because of COVID and because of having to push things back and everything, they've had to instead cut what would have been one normal season into 2. So it would have been like a 16 episode normal season, but now we're getting 2 8 episode seasons instead. And honestly, I'm fine with this. It makes it, one, easier to react to in one go, because these 8 episodes, I believe I calculated them to be about 2 hours, which is about a movie length. So no issue there. I can definitely react to a couple hours at once. um, Plus, it's just, I feel it's a little more digestible and a little more in tune with Netflix's binging model. Like 18 episodes, all of them being in the range of, like, what is it, like 3 to 8 minutes each, somewhere like that. It's like, yeah, it's not that long, all things considered, but binging that is not as easy in one go. And again, Netflix's entire thing is binging, which I'm not a huge fan of, as you guys know, but just saying, for their sake, they would probably prefer something like this, like 8 simple episodes to get through. Maybe that's just me. But either way, I am excited to see what new kinds of animation styles we've got in this season, what new kinds of stories, and just fun shenanigans all around. Um, like I did with season 1, I will also create a list of my of ranking the episodes. In season 1, I think just did a top 10, which makes sense. But in season 2, I'll just probably rank them all. Since there's only 8 episodes, I'll just rank them all from least to most favorite. Makes it a little easier, as well as just the fact that there's not 10, so I can't really do a top 10. So I'll just rank them. Um, but yeah, I don't know any spoilers about this. Like, I saw the first trailer. There was like two or three trailers. I saw the first one that basically just announced it was happening. I don't really remember much of any of the clips that were shown in it. And I made sure not to watch the other trailers to avoid seeing clips again. And I've only watched the first trailer once, so I am excited though. I am excited, even though I don't know what to expect. But then again, I didn't know what to expect with the first season either. I watched it because I just randomly saw it on Netflix, and it's like, oh, this is brand new. I've never heard of this. Let's check it out. And it's like, I saw the first episode, Sunny's Game, I believe it was called. And it's like, oh, well, this is just outright phenomenal. And I'm hoping to feel the same way towards episodes in this one too. Um, so yeah, let's just see how this goes. Hope for the best, and hope it's hope that we get some short stories in here that are as good, if not better, than season one's. So when the screen fades to black, pause this redirect and go to the description below. Follow the link to the reaction, and after you watch it, come back here to the redirect and resume play. Because after it fades to black and then fades back in, everything from that point forward will be my afterthoughts and will contain spoilers to the episodes. So, that being said, thank you so much for tuning in, and I will see you at the reaction. And we are back, and we'll begin with spoilers in 3, 2, 1, now. So, that was season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots. And that was Michael B. Jordan, by the way. I did look it up. This season was not as good as the first. And yeah, I understand COVID happened and everything, and that probably put a hindrance on this and all, but I think part of the reason why this season wasn't as good as season one is that there wasn't as much of a divergent set of art styles. It just seemed like a lot of them were just the very hyper realistic 3D CG animation. And it's like, it looks good, but I want a more divergent amount of styles. Season one had so many different styles in it that it stood out. It was one of the drawing factors of it. But like, you look at this season, and there's 3 different episodes that are done by the same studio. Episode 3, Pop Squad, which is the one with the detective who had to deal with the undocumented children and stuff. And then as well, the last 2 episodes, Life Hutch with Michael B. Jordan and The Drowned Giant, all 3 of those were done by Blur Studio. And all 3 were good, but it's like, did we really need 3 that were done by the same studio? And if I look back at season 1, it's like, yeah, the same studio did multiple things there, but at the same time, because there was more episodes, it didn't feel as, how would I put it? I guess bloated by one. Bloated's the wrong word. It feels like when 3 out of 8 episodes are done by the same studio, it just feels like it's being taken over with one style, you know? Like, that's almost half of the episodes. And then a lot of the other episodes were similar in style too. It just, there wasn't as much creative differences with the styles. And there might be more of that in season 3. And I hope there is. But it's just, that was a little disappointing to me. Another thing is, a lot of them, a lot of these episodes, while most of them were very good, just didn't have the impact that season one's episodes had for me. Like, you go back to season one and you have like all of these phenomenal episodes like Zima Blue, Lucky 13, Shapeshifters was fantastic. Good Hunting, my favorite of season one. And of course, you had three robots, and the one that started it all, Sunny's Edge. It's like they had so many, not only different styles, but focuses and ideas and concepts. This one felt a lot more constrained in even the concepts that were happening. There was a lot of out of control robot stuff, a lot of alien planet stuff, dystopian future kind of stuff, and it's like it's all the same few things just repeated. And it's like, again, they're not bad. It's just I would have liked to see more. And again, part of that is because it is only 8 episodes instead of 18 this time, and part of that, of course, is going to be because of COVID. Like, that definitely took its toll on this season, and it's going to it's going to affect things. But at the same time, it's like that doesn't mean that I can't like find it not as good as season one. But let's talk about each of the episodes here. I'm definitely going to have to see them again before I can truly determine how, like, my order and my rankings for them. But let's talk quickly about each episode. So episode one was automated customer service, and this was, I'd say, one of my favorites of the bunch. Not only because of the unique style to it, the unique just art direction it took compared to all of the others, but I like the story. So we have this woman in this kind of futuristic retirement community who one day like gets upset at her cleaning robot. It's basically like a futuristic boxy Roomba, you could say. The robot kind of goes out of control and she's unable to stop it. It starts attacking her and her dog and progressively getting worse and worse to the point of trying to literally kill them. So she, along with a neighbor, ended up taking it down eventually and leaving, kind of turning their back on the technology altogether. It's a really fun story. It has a lot of great tension. Like that is definitely the biggest positive of this episode. The tension is actually really well done because you really don't want to see anything happen to this woman or her dog. Like you see the fish get blown to pieces and it's like that's already pretty freaky. And so you don't want to see like anything like that happen to the dog or the woman. And so you're constantly hoping that she's able to stop this robot somehow, and you're constantly like listening to this customer service stuff that she's interacting with during the entire confrontation and all. And it's really fascinating. It's just really tense, and it just keeps your attention the entire time. Nothing ever feels like it goes like it starts to drag or anything. Um, and I really think it handled itself extremely well. There's some good comedy in it as well to kind of balance out the tense, frightening situation. And it's a simple concept, but that a lot of people have thought about like technology getting more and more advanced. Would it eventually turn against us? It's a very common idea for this kind of science fiction. So I think it was just really, really well done here. The second episode is Ice. In this one, we focus on two brothers who are living on a colony planet covered in ice. They leave the bubble of their colony to head out into the frozen tundra beyond with a group of, I guess you could call them friends of the one brother. There they plan to basically get this whale or these whales to pop out of the ice so they can get just, I guess, a good view of it. And the big the big moments of this episode are definitely focused on once the whales start knocking up at the ice on the surface of the water, trying to get to the air above. Because it's then we see our characters running, the two brothers and their friends, then the friends running and trying to escape and everything. And thrown into this as well, there's the idea of modified humans. The one brother we find out is unmodified, and he's like the one of the only people who's unmodified right now, especially for his age. Um, while his brother is modified, and we see that all the friends are as well. So when they're running, the unmodded brother is lagging behind and everything because of that. And that entire plot point never really goes much of anywhere, which is a little unfortunate. They don't really do anything more with the modified versus unmodified idea. The only point it seems to have is for explaining why he's so much slower than everyone else when they're running away. But they do manage to escape, and we get to see the bioluminescent alien whales, and it's really pretty. And it was good. It wasn't as good as the first episode, though. I would say that for sure. Um, episode 4, or episode 3, sorry, I almost skipped one there. Episode 3 is the Pop Squad. This is the one with, the detective who is living in this kind of super hyper futuristic world where there's this immortality created. People are given immortality through this biological injection, and it allows them, yeah, to live forever and to just continue going. But there's also these people who seem to reject it, and they're seen as like outsiders. They're seen as bad. And because of this, it seems like they're not allowed to have kids either. So these cops, these detectives, go out and take care of that, um, which is really fucked up. This one, this one detective, after executing a couple kids, which again really fucked up and really pisses me off, he starts to suffer from PTSD. He starts to face the trauma of the situation. And he soon starts following this information, maybe to find out more. He finds out that there's this shop that sells the same dinosaur that one of the kids he executed had. So he goes to the shop where he sees a woman who is not in the best of clothing buying a small model train. And it's implied that she is saying she's a collector and all, but he follows her to this dilapidated house in this ruined like part of town or something, and finds out that she bought it for her young daughter, which she's clearly not supposed to have. She's not supposed to have a kid. So he talks to her, and he finds out and just connects with her and with the girl as well, and he lets them go. He chooses to just let them go. And in the end, he comes out of the house. He sees another detective there, and they kill each other. But he dies protecting this woman and her daughter. This episode was very heavy and very hard for me to watch because I've talked before about I care about kids greatly. Like, I hate seeing anything where kids die or get hurt or anything. It bothers the hell out of me. Um, it's just it's really hard for me to watch this kind of thing, and even though it didn't actively like show the kids being shot, it just kind of happened off screen. It still bothered the shit out of me. Um, it's just it's so fucked up, and especially in a situation like this where he's like killing them just because these like people aren't supposed to have kids or whatever. It's like what the fuck. It's like the woman was saying at the beginning. These kids are innocent. They didn't do anything wrong. They don't deserve this. But yeah, it did bother me. There were some apparently some good name voice actors and voice actresses in it too, like Jennifer Hale and Nolan North. I assume Nolan North was the main guy. Um, so that's really fun as well to find out that there were some pretty notable voice actors in it. Um, just trying to bring a little bit of levity to a really dark, really upsetting episode. Episode 4 was Snow in the Desert. This one focuses on this albino man named Snow being hunted by bounty hunters. Um, he's functionally immortal because of his regenerative ability, and the bounty hunters want him because of this. He ends up facing some in a bar and being saved by this woman who ends up joining him along his journey. She finds out, or he finds out, that she is also from this organization that wants to know about his immortality as well. But they're handling things better. They want it to be on his choice, and they want it to know about his immortality so they can share that knowledge and do good things with it. But they continue their journey and end up growing really close together, even ending up just straight up having sex. um, but eventually, more bounty hunters come, and he has to take care of them, and he does with her help. But in the tussle, it's revealed that she is a cyborg and that she has only a few human parts left to her, including her spine, nervous system, most of her brain. And she because of that is also functionally immortal, and that's why she connected to him and everything. And it's nice. It's a sweet story. I just feel like it had not enough time to breathe. I felt like this story could have been great like as its own story, like as a full movie or a series or something. But as only a how long was this one? 18 minutes. As an 18-minute short, I don't feel like it had enough room to really explore the ideas it was going for. And because of that, the romance felt extremely rushed. And while the stakes definitely felt high enough, especially when we keep seeing this guy getting his limbs blasted off, um, it didn't feel like there was much of an actual threat. Um, Number 5, episode 5, was one of my favorites for sure. The Tall Grass. So this one seemingly takes place in a more normal, like maybe even modern day world, maybe even like the past. Um, a train a train breaks down, needs to get the steam running again. Um, Out like just all around this like field of tall grass. One of the passengers leaves and is told by the conductor to stay nearby, not wander off, and that he'll only call twice once the train gets going, for when the train is going to get going again. Unfortunately, the passenger does wander off. He doesn't listen at all. He wanders off because he sees some lights in the grass and goes to explore. He ends up finding these horrific monsters. Like, these are the scariest monsters of this season, without question. At first, they kind of look like these like the Silence from Doctor Who, except obviously not wearing the fancy suits. They're pretty much buck naked. But then it's like their completely blank faces open up, like with this mouth of fangs and teeth, and it's like horrifically, just legitimately frightening. It's scary. And so he's having to run through through the tall grass, trying to find his way back to the train because he's lost. And eventually he does, but is overwhelmed by the creatures. At which point the conductor saves him, and they manage to get on the train as it's heading out. We find out that the train always breaks down in the same spot, and that these people, these creatures used to be people. They used to be other passengers and stuff who have gotten off and gotten lost and whatnot. And that apparently this happens because some kind of doorway to another world opens up or something. So this one, I feel, handled its timing well. This one was only 11 minutes long, but it felt like it was so well handled in terms of its pacing and whatnot that I really liked it. Using the tall grass in this way, it's very similar to the movie Into the Tall Grass, which I reacted to on the channel. Um, but there's also a lot of differences. The creatures were exceptionally frightening and well designed. The tension was great. And there was some fun action at the end too, with the conductor warding off the monsters with the fire. Um, it just, it was fun, and it felt like it worked for its time frame. Like it never felt like it was going by too fast or too slow. It never felt like the last one where it needed more time or whatever to truly breathe. It felt like this one was well handled. Episode 6 was All Through the House, and this one was another one I really liked. So these young kids, a brother and a sister, wake up on Christmas Eve hearing some noises from downstairs. They think, oh, it's got to be Santa, right? So they go downstairs to investigate. And I think it's supposed to be a take on Santa, but they find this horrific, like, Lovecraftian monster. It very much reminded me, like I said in the reaction, of like a monster from like um oh my god, my mind is blanking now. I was thinking of it earlier. Pan's Labyrinth. That's it. It very much made me think of a monster from Pan's Labyrinth. Maybe because of the hands over the like grotesque mouth and everything, made me think of the Pale Man from Pan's Labyrinth. Maybe that was it. Even though in Pan's Labyrinth he like has them over his like whole face basically. Um, I think that's why it reminded me of that. But yeah, it seemed like it was very much supposed to be like another take on like Santa and Krampus and all of those other kinds of similar myths like that. Because when it saw them, it approached the kids and sniffed them and was checking if they were naughty or nice. And so, because it found that they were nice, that they were good, it gave them gifts. And they were regular gifts. And like the boy, for example, got a train set that he always wanted. And like at the end, you see like the kids are lying in bed, just unable to go back to sleep, like absolutely just traumatized by that. And they're like wondering, like, what would happen if we were bad? And it's like, I could think of a few things that could have happened if you were found bad. The monster one, the big idea is that it probably would have eaten you. At least that's how I interpreted it. Um, but it's all seriousness, it was really interesting and just a really fun idea of like, because again, I've seen plenty of stuff with like evil Santas or Krampus or whatnot. So having it be like this horrific monster is a really interesting idea. Number 7 is Life Hutch. This is the one starring Michael B. Jordan as a pilot for this crashed ship. He lands on this planet and has to get to Life Hutch, which is a base on the planet where he can hopefully be safe. He gets there, but as he does, the maintenance robot goes crazy and tries to kill him. If he remains perfectly still, though, it won't see him and won't be able to do anything. So he has to go between staying perfectly still and trying to do whatever he can to escape or take out the robot. Eventually, he manages to outsmart it using a flashlight to have it attack itself, seeing that it attacks light. It sees the light as motion, so it attacks the light. So by having him flash the light on itself, on the robot will attack itself. It's a genius idea. Michael B. Jordan, like, he's great. Like, nothing else to say. He's just a phenomenal actor. He's hot. And he really sold this character well. Like, he did well for, again, the short amount of time that this had. It was 14 minutes. So he did a really great job, especially at selling just the desperation when facing down with this robot. And the idea of the robot and all, it was well handled. Again, we had another case of this though, like with the dysfunctional robot right in the first episode. So it's like it's kind of the same thing, but in a much different setting and scenario and all. The robot itself was pretty interesting. I liked how it was like malfunctioning and glitching, so it could only see movement, and the fact that it attacked anything, it didn't care what it was if it was moving. There was a lot of great tension in it too, like when it stepped on his hand and was crushing his fingers and just absolutely destroying it, and he had to keep silence and still during all of this, and it was like that's good tension. Um, yeah, it wasn't as good as some of the others, but I did enjoy it. And the final episode was The Drowned Giant. This one was the most relaxed one. It's narrated by this scientist who observes this giant naked man who washed up dead on the shore of this small oceanside town. He observes how the people react to the giant and how they interact with the giant's body, um, and observes how over time, not only does the body decompose, but the people start taking pieces of it, start graffitiing the body and stuff, and eventually how even he notices like pieces like bones and stuff show up around town in various places. This one definitely was more of a think piece, and it definitely sets it apart from everything else in this season. It definitely was very. It was meant to bring out some provocative thoughts and to just really make you think about just the state of humanity, and especially with how the fact that at the end, like everyone had just like kind of forgotten about the giants. It's like everything just kind of happened and then everyone forgot. And no one cared anymore. It's just like the fleeting idea of humanity's attention span, honestly. It was a fun idea. It was a really interesting idea, and I think it was executed pretty well. Because again, it wasn't about action or anything. It wasn't about super intense science fiction stuff. It was just the only big thing, and it was the big thing, the giant. And so it was all about just kind of seeing how humanity reacts to that kind of thing. And that is kind of how humanity probably would react. It's like, yeah, there's like a lot of attention given at first, but then we'll just kind of move on. Just kind of move on, forget about it. But like while it's happening, while all the attention's happening and all, of course they're going to desecrate the corpse. Of course they're going to dance and balance on the nose. Of course they're going to graffiti it and take the body parts. It's like it's humanity. Of course they're going to do that. So it was definitely trying to send kind of like a message. A lot of these try to send a message, to be honest. But yeah, overall, I did like this season. Like there again, most of the episodes were really good. It's just again, it just didn't live up to season one in a lot of ways. Again, just diversity in styles. The fact that 3 of the episodes were all done by the same studio, and a lot of the episodes all had the same style, or at least a similar style. Like at least half the episodes, I think, had same or similar style to them. And it's just I don't feel there was enough divergence in the ideas of the plots either. A lot of them had like the same few ideas to them, and it's like, okay. But the ones that really stood out did really stand out. And I'm really hoping that season 3 has more of those standouts and has a much more diverse set of styles than season 2 did. I don't. Obviously, season 3 is going to be 8 episodes as well, but I'm just hoping that it's more diverse, like season 1 was, when it does come out, probably next year. um, but yeah, I did enjoy it, just not as much. But I'm definitely gonna have to see the episodes again to really determine my exact ranking order. Um, but when I do, I'll make a list for that. Maybe by the end of this week. We'll see. But tell me in the comments below, what are your favorite episodes from season 2 of Love, Death, and Robots? What did you think of the season overall, and just its diversity or lack thereof in terms of art styles and themes and ideas and all of that? Tell me your thoughts on all of that and more down in the comments below, and thank you so much for tuning in. For now, I'm Connie, and I'm signing off. See y'all next time.